Welcome to the Deep Dive. Now, for those of you who've been keeping an eye on the digital identity space, it's always been about secure authentication, fundamentally. But what our sources are showing us, and we've got a stack of fresh market research, some really comprehensive analyses here, they reveal a market shift that's, frankly, profound.
Yeah.
It moves way beyond just security. It's transforming into, well, the very backbone of modern society, you could argue.
That's a good way to put it.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. Cut through the noise, give you the absolute crucial insights, and really show you why this sector, which is evolving so fast, is basically set to reshape how we all interact with the world.
It really is.
And the numbers, they are genuinely staggering.
Absolutely true. Digital identification, it isn't just some niche solution tucked away anymore. It's become a global imperative.
Imperative, right.
And what's driving this fundamentally is this push for secure, compliant, and importantly, genuinely seamless access. And that's across practically every sector you can think of.
Like finance?
Oh, yeah, finance, government, those foundational pillars, but all the way through to critical areas like healthcare as well. It's really about enabling a true digital-first future.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's get into some hard data from these sources because we're talking about, well, explosive growth. So the global digital identification market, it was valued at about $26.18 billion back in 2021.
Right. Seems like a while ago now.
Doesn't it? Just 4 years later, 2025, it had already surged to $50.24 billion.
Doubled, almost.
Yeah, pretty much. And, okay, prepare yourself for this one. By 2033, the projection is an astounding $185.04 billion.
Wow, that's massive.
It is, and that reflects a remarkable compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 17.7%.
And what's truly insightful there, I think, is how these numbers really spotlight the underlying drivers, don't they?
They do.
This isn't just about, making things slightly easier.
Yeah.
It's fueled by this urgent global need to verify who people are.
Yeah, the who.
And grant them access securely, compliantly, in a world that just relies more and more on digital interactions every single day.
Right.
We're sort of seeing this shift where digital ID is becoming as fundamental as, say, physical infrastructure.
Like roads or the power grid.
Exactly. Think roads or power grids, but for the digital realm, it's that foundational.
Okay, here's where it gets, I think, even more fascinating. Let's look at the global map. Where is this market distributed? Where's the future growth coming from? Our sources give us this really compelling breakdown of, who's leading this identity race and maybe why.
Okay.
So North America, for instance, projected to hold the largest share. We're talking revenue reaching $56.3 billion by 2033.
$56 billion, okay.
And the U.S. alone accounts for $38.53 billion of that.
Wow. The lion's share.
Definitely. But Canada and Mexico are contributing significantly too, $13.48 billion and $4.29 billion respectively.
So what's driving that dominance there?
Well, the sources point to robust regulatory frameworks, for one, and just a very highly mature digital infrastructure already in place.
Right, that makes sense. And it's not just about the raw numbers, is it? If we look over at Europe, which is expected to hit, $44.38 billion by 2033? Big countries like Germany, the UK, France, they're certainly leading the charge there. $10.99 billion for Germany, $8.36 UK, $6.28.
Still very significant numbers.
Absolutely. But what I find particularly interesting is this rest of Europe segment in the data.
Ah, the smaller nations.
Exactly. Nations like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland. That segment is showing an impressive CAGR of 25.7%. 25.7.
Wow, that's even higher than the global average.
It is, and it really highlights their proactive adoption of pretty advanced e-identity schemes and also a very strong emphasis on digital privacy standards, which is key in Europe.
That strong growth in smaller European nations that's a great point. Now let's swing over to Asia Pacific.
Okay.
Revenues there expected to hit roughly $33.94 billion by 2033. China is set to generate over $10.97 billion of that.
Big player.
Huge. India at $5.31 billion, Japan $4.33 billion. But what seems to be really driving this region's rapid catch-up is this ambitious commitment to digital governance and also widespread fintech integration.
Right. You see that with things like...
Well, think about systems like India's Aadhaar, right? Enabling instant bank account openings with just biometric verification.
Game changer.
Total game changer. Or Singapore Sing Pass, one digital ID, let citizens access hundreds of government and private services. That's just a massive leap in efficiency for people.
Absolutely. And those are perfect examples of how digital ID is really transforming public services, but also financial inclusion, which is huge in that region.
Right.
And if we kind of connect this back to the bigger picture, what all these regional insights start to reveal is this shared urgency. It's practically everywhere, all corners of the lab.
Shared urgency, okay.
Yeah.
But maybe for different reasons.
Exactly. It isn't a monolithic trend. It's influenced by very diverse regional needs. So like you said, in Asia, maybe it's often driven more by financial inclusion, government efficiency, whereas in Europe, there tends to be that stronger emphasis on robust privacy regulations, which shapes the kind of solutions they develop.
Right.
Meanwhile, you look at regions like South America, poised to reach nearly $22 billion, $21.89 billion by 2033.
Wow.
With Brazil, Argentina, Colombia really emerging as hotspots. There, the growth seems fueled by things like rapid urbanization and this real mobile-first adoption curve.
Right, jumping straight to mobile solutions. And the momentum keeps going elsewhere too, doesn't it? Africa.
Africa's showing some truly remarkable growth. Total expected revenue there, $13.1 billion by 2033.
15.
Yeah. South Africa leads with $6.53 billion, and it's growing at the region's highest CGR, actually 20.4%.
Impressive.
And Nigeria is close behind, $4.79 billion. These are markets that are, in many ways, leapfrogging older infrastructure.
Yeah, skipping the landlines, going straight to digital.
Pretty much, going straight to digital-first solutions. And then finally, you've got the Middle East, forecasted to reach $15.43 billion by 2033.
Okay.
And you see strong contributions from places like Saudi Arabia and the UAE, each growing at over 19% CAGR. A lot of that is thanks to significant government investments in, smart city initiatives and broad digital transformation programs.
So taking that holistic view, that global view, it paints a pretty clear picture, doesn't it?
It really does. A clear collective push to implement secure and, importantly, scalable digital ID infrastructure. All over the world.
Right.
And this urgency, it's profoundly influenced by, the exponential rise of online services. We all see that.
Daily life.
The rapid digitization of financial systems and just numerous government-led e-identity initiatives. They're designed to streamline everything from accessing public services to border control.
Yeah.
So each region, as we said, has its own sort of flavor of urgency, its own priorities, but that underlying push towards building digital trust, that seems universal.
So, okay, bringing it back, what does all of this massive market shift, these billions of dollars, what does it actually mean for you, the listener?
Right.
We're talking about fundamental changes, aren't we?
Yeah.
To your daily life, how you interact with banks, with government, with healthcare, everything.
And these systems, they're built on some pretty incredible underlying tech. Our sources mention things like advanced biometric authentication, of course, but also, increasingly, things like blockchain-backed credentials. It's not just about fingerprints anymore, is it?
No, not at all. We're seeing things like passive biometrics, maybe how you walk, your gait.
Seriously. Yeah, or behavioral biometrics tracking how you type, how you hold your phone, how you interact with the device. These add layers of security that are almost invisible to the user, much more seamless.
That's fascinating.
Which really raises an important question, doesn't it? How will your future interactions, truly be reshaped by all this?
Yeah.
Because the digital identification market, it's not just expected to flourish, right? It's really set to become the veritable backbone of digital trust.
It's digital trust. That's the key phrase.
It is. And when we say digital trust, we're talking about everything.
Yeah.
From, say, frictionless cross-border payments for businesses to maybe verified credentials that let you prove your qualifications to an employer instantly, securely, without maybe even sharing your whole resume.
Minimizing data sharing.
Exactly. Minimizing identity fraud risk, vastly increasing efficiency. And look, this isn't just some vague prediction. It's being driven by maturing regulatory frameworks around the world.
GDPR, things like that.
Yeah. Things like GDPR, but also others specific to identity and this ongoing effort to harmonize global standards. The goal is to create a more secure, more interconnected digital world for everyone.
So, yeah, to sum it up then.
Yeah.
From a solution that maybe seemed a bit niche just, 5-10 years ago, to a global imperative, valued at potentially nearly $200 billion in less than a decade from now. The digital ID market is, Well, it's truly transformative.
No question.
Its scale, its significance, it's profound.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely something that is going to touch all of our lives one way or another.
Indeed. And maybe, just as a final thought for you listening, consider how this evolution of digital identity, moving, as we've said, from just personal convenience, like logging in faster,
Right.
to becoming this foundational pillar of trust. How will that continue to redefine our relationships, not just with institutions, banks, governments, but perhaps even with each other, in the digital age? Yeah. What might a truly secure, universally recognized, maybe even user-controlled digital identity, what might that really mean for your own future interactions? Think about opening a bank account, accessing healthcare records, or even just verifying your age online simply and privately. It's definitely a question worth mulling over.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Really glad you could join us today. We're getting into a topic that honestly affects pretty much everything you do online these days. The digital identification market. I mean, think about it. Unlocking your phone, banking, accessing government services. It all comes down to proving who you are. So our mission today is to really unpack what's driving this, what challenges are popping up, and look at the future trends shaping digital identity. We're mainly drawing from excerpts from Digital ID, Market Dynamics, and Future Trends by Cognitive Market Research. And this isn't just tech talk. It really impacts how you live your digital life.
Exactly. And understanding this is, well, it's crucial for everyone listening. It's about convenience, sure, but also security. And it touches on this really interesting balance, How do we innovate quickly while still protecting everyone's privacy?
Yeah.
That's the core tension, really.
Right. That balance is key. So let's start with the why now. What's really propelling this market forward so fast? The research points to a few big things. First off, just this huge surging demand for secure digital ways to prove who you are. You see it everywhere. Banking, government, healthcare, they all need safer, less fraud-prone ways to interact online. And it enables things like faster remote onboarding, which in today's world, being online first and global, that's just essential.
Absolutely essential. And it's not just businesses feeling this need. Governments are stepping in a big way, too. Which brings us to the second driver. These government initiatives and regulations. Countries are pouring money into national digital ID programs. Think about Europe's eIDAS regulation.
Yes, I get it.
Right. It basically makes a digital ID from one EU country valid in all the others. That's huge for cross-border stuff. Or look at India's Aadhaar system. Over 1 billion people with unique digital IDs. It's transforming access to services there.
Wow, over 1 billion.
Yeah. So these frameworks, they're not just about security checks. They genuinely improve how public services work, help with compliance, and just manage data better overall.
That top-down push is definitely significant.
Right.
But the tech itself has to deliver, right? So the third driver mentioned is the adoption of newer technologies, specifically biometrics and AI. Things like facial recognition, iris scanning, even AI helping verify documents or identities in real time. The report notes how these techs shift the focus. It's less about what you know, like a password, or what you have, like a card.
And more about who you are, biometrics.
Exactly, who you inherently are. And this allows for, instant decisions.
Yeah.
Much higher accuracy, apparently. Plus, they integrate smoothly with cloud platforms, mobile apps, and it really changes the whole user experience.
It does. Makes it feel much more seamless when it works well.
Okay, so we have strong demand, government backing, and cool new tech pushing things forward. But it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the roadblocks? The research flags a major one immediately. Privacy concerns. And related to that, just public trust.
That's a big one.
People are worried, and maybe rightly so, about how their personal data, especially sensitive stuff like biometric data, is collected and stored, and who it's shared with.
Yeah, you hear about breaches all the time. It makes people hesitant.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So transparency, clear consent, strong privacy laws, ethical handling without those, getting users fully on board is, well, it's tough. It's that constant push-pull, convenience versus control over your info.
And that concern about data handling ties directly into the next challenge. Cybersecurity risks, plain and simple. These digital ID platforms, because they hold such valuable data, they're prime targets for hackers.
Makes sense. A gold mine for them.
Exactly. We're talking phishing, ransomware, really sophisticated identity theft schemes. And if they succeed, highly sensitive personal data gets exposed. That's the nightmare scenario.
Right.
So for this whole thing to really take off, you need top-notch advanced security. It's not optional. It's fundamental for both users and organizations to trust the system.
Okay, so privacy worries, security threats.
Yeah.
What else? The research mentions fragmentation.
Yes, the lack of interoperability and sort of unified global standards, that's the third big hurdle.
What does that mean practically?
Well, think about it. Different countries, even different industries within countries, often develop their own digital ID systems in silos.
Mm.
And these systems, they don't necessarily talk to each other. They use incompatible technologies or rules.
Like having different phone chargers for every country.
Kind of like that, yeah, but for your identity. It makes things like using your digital ID across borders really difficult, sometimes impossible. And it definitely complicates building any kind of universal, global digital ID system that works everywhere. It's just messy.
A patchwork, not a network.
Precisely.
All right, so challenges are definitely there, but innovation continues, right? Let's look ahead. What trends are shaping the future here?
Definitely. Despite the hurdles, there's a lot happening. One really interesting trend is decentralized identity, often linked with blockchain technology. Have you heard much about self-sovereign identity models?
I've heard the term, yeah. Explain a bit more.
So the idea basically is to use blockchain to give you, the individual, full control over your own digital identity credentials. Instead of a company or government holding your data in a central database, you hold your own credentials, like carrying your physical wallet. You decide what to share, when, and with whom.
Okay, so I control my own data directly.
Exactly. The promise there is greater privacy, more user control, maybe even better interoperability, because it's not tied to one central authority.
That does sound potentially transformative, putting power back in the user's hands.
Potentially, yes. It's still evolving, but it's a powerful concept.
And maybe more immediately on the tech we use every day, the report talks about mobile-first and contactless solutions.
Absolutely. That's trend number 2, and it's already huge.
I mean, smartphones are everywhere now. We do everything on them.
Right. So using your phone for authentication, facial recognition, fingerprint scans, maybe scanning a QR code, it's just becoming the default. It's convenient.
Makes sense.
And the report points out this is especially important in developing countries or regions where maybe not everyone has easy access to a computer, but almost everyone has a mobile phone.
So it expands access massively.
It really does. It makes digital identity potentially available to billions more people. It's just the logical next step, really.
Yeah, it feels inevitable.
Right.
And looking even bigger picture, the third trend mentioned is integration with smart cities and the Internet of Things, the IoT.
Right. This is where digital ID becomes like the foundational plumbing for these huge interconnected systems. Think about accessing public transport, unlocking doors in smart buildings, maybe even interacting with public safety systems in a smart city. Secure digital identity is what makes all that seamless and trustworthy.
So it's not just about logging into websites anymore.
Not at all. As IoT grows, connecting everything from cars to home appliances, having a reliable way to identify and authenticate users and devices is absolutely critical. It underpins the automation, the connectivity, the whole citizen experience they're trying to build in these smart environments.
Wow. So it really is becoming embedded in the fabric of, well, everything.
Pretty much.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what our dive into the cognitive market research shows is clearly a market that's evolving incredibly fast. You've got tech innovation, government push, user demand, all driving it forward. But at the same time, these really significant concerns around trust, security, making sure different systems can actually work together, those are still being actively navigated. It's a really dynamic situation.
It absolutely is. And maybe a final thought for listeners to chew on. As these systems get more sophisticated, and maybe as ideas like self-sovereign identity gain traction, giving individuals more direct control, how might that fundamental shift in who controls identity data actually change power dynamics? Online, but maybe offline too.
Interesting question.
Yeah. Think about that balance we mentioned at the start. Convenience, security, but also your own personal autonomy. How do we strike that right as digital identity becomes, well, just part of life, something to consider?